Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Not Jerry's Talk. Jerry is usually here on Tuesdays doing his amazing analysis of everything that's going on in the world and how and putting his particular spin on and understanding on current events and processing it all in such a brilliant way. Um, I do not have that level of experience. And so what we're going to do today is talk about what I do have experience in. And today's experience is, or the experience of what is really coming through for this talk is, how are you responding to life? How are you perceiving life? That is the topic for today. Today's topic, how are you perceiving life? And there's a lot of truth here about current events. So the talk mirrors what Jerry says because we're talking about what's happening in the world. My experience is in spiritual principle. Jerry's has a vast experience in many things, but business is his understanding, and he brings that brilliant insight. So I'm so glad you're joining us so that I can tell you about Rythmia, tell you about what's going on down there, and then go into this really wonderful topic that will bring light in the ways that we interact with each other politically, as well as in terms of religion, that this idea has impacts in our lives that, as I explored it, were really impressive to me. So first I want to tell you about Rythmia and what's going on. I know that some of you have already seen, we did some postings and the information is out, but we are remodeling our rooms. Every room, room by room, is being remodeled during this time. And the remodel will be complete by November 1st. And if the federal government or the Costa Rican government opens the borders for free and easy access for American citizens to come down to Costa Rica, then we will be able to open up earlier. And if we open up before November, that's all right. We're still opening up. So I want to get that information out to you, and we're very excited. This renovation is not just a step up. It's like a quantum leap. Everything is different. From the flooring, the fixtures, the floorboards, the lighting, the appointments, all of the furniture, everything, the artwork, everything. It's really amazing. I love the way it looks. It is a sort of modern Costa Rican jungle kind of flair with a lot of the ancient wisdom as well coming through. It really mirrors Rythmia's intention to merge those two things, the contemporary and the ancient. And so using modern techniques and ancient wisdom, right? That's Rythmia's whole principle. And so we're doing that in the decor to be very consistent, which is a very good thing. So I want to tell you that in addition to what's going on with the remodeling, there's advanced plans for a land acquisition. So we're going to be expanding Rythmia because we have clear indications of pent-up demand and an increasing demand moving forward. So we're going to be buying the land around Rythmia and expanding the property, as well as so there's the land acquisition and the expansion of the property. So lots of really cool things going on. We want you to know that we are so confident that we'll be able to have you as soon as we can, hopefully sooner than we think. But we want to get that out to you to let you know. So lots of great things going on at Rythmia. And we also, I want to tell you about a particular spiritual principle that is very important for all the work that we do at Rythmia and at Agape, which is my spiritual center. And of course, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith is a partner at Rythmia, and he was very instrumental in Jerry's personal transformation. And so it fits that we would do this here and that we do it at Agape and that it is a spiritual principle. And that is, before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the talk, we want to do an evocation. And now I want to talk a little bit about this because it is an excellent distinction. An invocation versus an evocation. So when you invoke something, you're inviting it. If I'm inviting you to come to my house, you're obviously not in my house, right? So I want to invite you there. So I'm inviting something from outside in. The spiritual principle and the truth of the medicine is that there's no outside. It's all here now. The truth is here. the presence of the mother is here. And from a metaphysical perception, the presence of the divine is everywhere present, nowhere absent. And so if God, the universal principle, the quantum field, the unified field, is everywhere present, then I need not invoke it. That's an old way of thinking. That's a different level of consciousness around our understanding of the divine. So the ancient Homeric, the Iliad and the Odyssey, they invoked the muse. They invoked the divine presence to move through them in their storytelling. But we don't have to invoke that because we have a different understanding that it's already here. I'm not praying to anything or anyone. I'm praying from an awareness that is already here. So we evoke that awareness in ourselves. We need not evoke the presence of the universal mind. It's already here. So we want to do a quick evocation. And what that is a mirror of our awareness that the presence is already here. And the principle there is, again, that the presence is everywhere, no matter what the appearances are, no matter what, the presence is there. The presence of the divine intelligence, all the abundance, all the joy, all of the availability of all the good, more good than you can ever imagine, is available right where you are. It is not bigger where Deepak Chopra is and smaller where you and I are. It's equally distributed everywhere. So with that awareness, we need not go searching for that. We just have to remind ourselves that it's here. And that's what an evocation is. And so I'm going to do a quick little evocation for all of us to center into an awareness of the truth. And that truth is we always begin that truth with gratitude. So we start with how grateful I am to be alive today, how grateful I am that no matter what has happened in the past, I'm here now, that all of my mistakes and transgressions and all of the things that I might regret don't mean anything because I'm here right now and it's an eternal now. So I'm grateful to be awake and aware and alive right here and right now. I'm grateful for all of the abundance in which we live, all of the ways in which we are supported by life. And I move from that gratitude to recognize what is underneath that gratitude. I recognize a divine presence, a universal love intelligence. We can call it Mother Ayahuasca. We can call it God. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's one thing. There's one source, one principle, one life, and it is expanding everywhere. So we now recognize that truth and that very presence has qualities to it. It's a quality of abundance, of balance, of order, of harmony, of good. It's this recognition of those qualities then reinforces that all the intelligence, all the wisdom, all the love, all the joy, all the beauty are right here, right now. All the abundance, everything in its fullness. We need only make ourselves available to it, to allow it to express through us. And that happens in our recognition that it's already here. And from our recognition, I can unify with that truth. It's not out there. It's not the presence, because I'm one with it. I was created from something. I didn't create myself. I was created from something. You were created from something. And we know what that something was. We were created from a universal field. Quantum physics is now talking about the unified field. So I know that I'm one with it. I can't be separate from it. The sunbeam can't be separate from the sun. The wave can't be separate from the ocean. They're individualized expressions of that unified whole. And we, too, are an individualized expression of a greater unified whole. So I'm one with it, and it has everything. So everything that I and you need are right here, right now. And now we just speak a word of realization that if all that is true, then everything that needs to be said right here will be said. Everything that needs to be done will be done. That the word has nothing to do with me or Jerry or Reverend Michael. It has everything to do with something moving through us, and it's with all of us. So we step into the realization that of thine own self I do nothing. It is the Father within, it is the presence within, it is the intelligence within that moves through me. And in that realization, then I know all is well. And I'm grateful. And I just simply say, and so it is. So that's a little evocation. And it's a wonderful process to anchor yourself in the truth. No matter what the appearances are, there's a presence here. And it is expressing always. Now, back to our topic. The topic today, life response, or the question, the topic begins with a question. The question is, how are you perceiving life? How are you perceiving life? And the principle behind that question, life responds to us at the level of our recognition of it. This is an amazing shift in understanding for me. That, and really a remembrance of what you know and what I already know, but it was synthesized in that beautiful phrase, life responds to us at the level of our recognition of it. So, really the question is, what is recognition? Recognition is our a perception. How do we perceive? How do we perceive what's going on? As I perceive something, that's how I believe it. How I perceive it is how I believe it. As I perceive it, that's how it is. So, we are talking about quantum physics. We're talking about the metaphysical, but the only thing that we have, whether we're talking metaphysics or quantum physics, is our perception. The only thing we have is our perception. This mirrors very nicely Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor and wrote Man's Search for Meaning, an amazing book. And in that, he really talks about our human superpower. And each of us have a superpower. What is your superpower? I know what I'm going to say is already in you, but we each have our unique superpowers. Viktor Frankl said our only power is in our ability to respond to external stimuli. How am I responding to what's coming? I can't control COVID. I can't control a death in my family. I can't control those things. What I can control, what I do have a modicum of say about, is how am I going to respond? My response, my ability to respond from a place of love, from a place of wholeness, from a place of a realization that all is well and everything is working together for my good. That ability to respond to external stimuli, no matter what the appearances are, is our responsibility. Our ability to respond is our responsibility. And so this is really the principle mirroring also that the uppermost God and the innermost God are the same. It's really reflecting what we talked about in the evocation. So this principle is that there's a unified field and that realm of infinite possibilities are the same. So if I am going back, if the question is, how am I perceiving life? And the principle is that life is responding to me at the level of my recognition of it, then my perception, my ability to respond has everything to do with how life is happening for me. It's unfolding effortlessly if I am responding instead of reacting. It's the same principle as namaste. We all go to the yoga studio. Well, we used to go to the yoga studio. We all go to the yoga studio and say namaste, right? And what is that? That is a recognition that the divine in me sees the divine in you. What a beautiful recognition, this simple recognition of truth. And in this, the kernel of that is an amazing way to live. If this is true, then all people are divine, right? No matter what I think of them, and believe me, I have lots of opinions about people, we all do. But no matter what I think, no matter what my opinions and judgments are, everyone is divine. So from that place, we all issue from the same source because our opinions don't matter. Really, opinion does not matter. Ram Dass says, if you want to know the truth, give up your opinions. Wow. If I want to know the truth, give up my opinions. The truth is, no matter what I perceive of individuals, whether it's my brother, or my sister, or my neighbor, or the politician, whatever I'm perceiving, the truth is, no matter what I think of them, no matter how strongly I feel about them, they're still an iteration of the divine. Hitler was still an iteration of the divine. There's no outside of God. There's no outside of the universal field. There's no outside of the unified field. And so if the divine is in all of us, could you imagine if we were really able to hold this awareness for ourselves every day? I've tried it, and believe me, it's easy to say, but hard to remember in practice, that the truth is that if all of us are divine, then I'm speaking to God. I'm speaking to Mother Ayahuasca. I'm speaking to an emanation of a presence that is outside of anything that I can comprehend with my finite mind. Now, if I really spoke to everyone as the divine, imagine how life would respond to us. Again, back to the topic. How are you perceiving life? We're going to get into that a little bit more because this is the key to relationships. As I perceive others, they perceive me. It's the simple projection. And people feel the energy of the way we perceive them. I know each of us have had this experience. I know we have one person, at least in our lives, that think we just hung the moon. We are the bee's knees. They love you no matter what. They're just elated. Every time they see you coming, they're like, hi. And you feel that energy of welcome. You feel that energy of love. You feel that expansive energy because they're not holding you as all of the all your faults and errors. They're holding you for what you really are. They see it because they love you. And what are you and what am I? We're love. So this is the key to our personal relationships, our work relationships. It is the key to all relationship that as I perceive people, they perceive me, and they are. So again, if you have somebody in your life that sees you as amazing, and every time you walk up to them, what happens? You expand into that awareness of how they hold you. All of a sudden, you're feeling that energetically, and you're speaking and with confidence, and things are flowing. You're in the flow, you're in the zone, right? Just the way somebody is holding you, right? And we've also had the experiences, I know I have many times, when someone doesn't see me for who I am or who I wish I was. They all only see the errors or mistakes or humanness that I've expressed. And that person, like, you got that much space. There's not a lot of room. And we've all tried to speak into that listening. And it's impossible. Well, there are people that are very talented at it, but really it's hard because when you're being held like this, you expand into it. When you're being held like that, you got to push out like, hey, that's not who I am. I'm more than my inequities, right? So the truth is that we do it to people and people do it to us. That as I perceive them, they're going to perceive me. We're actually creating the scenario through our opinions and judgments. That's why Ram Dass said, give up. If you want to know the truth, give up your opinions and judgments. Allow people to be more than just their inequities or more than just the good things that they've done in life. We're bigger than all of that. And it's also a wonderful expression of outstanding explanation of physics, Schrödinger's cat. And if you don't know that, I know everybody's probably heard of it in high school, but you'll remember that there's a cat in the box. There's a cat in the box. The box is closed. We don't know whether the cat is alive or dead. And both possibilities exist until we open the box and find out how the cats do, right? So it's just a story. It didn't actually happen. I just want to clarify that. So once we open the box, the one possibility has to be either the cat's living or dead. This is the same thing that we're talking about with as I perceive others, they perceive me. And so they are, right? So I, as an individual, have infinite possibilities. And someone that holds me this big, they're going to allow me to explore more of those possibilities. And if somebody only holds me as that big, there's not a lot of possibility available there. And it's really hard to express and expand from a smaller, contracted place. And so that's a wonderful example of what we know in quantum physics. And I love the way religion and science, spirituality, metaphysics are all coming together and really proving scientifically what the saints and the sages have been saying for eons. Now, let's take all of this philosophical principle and move it into practice, because all teaching has to have the principle that we're teaching from, and then how do we apply it? What's the practice of it? So in our own political experience, this is something very important. I think it also reflects what Jerry talks about weekly in his brilliant understanding and analysis of what's going on in the world, which is that if the principle is that if you hold somebody big, they're going to expand into it, and you hold them small, they're going to shrink into it. This is the level of recognition that life responds to us at our level of recognition of it. People do it to us, and we do it to them. Everything in life responds to me at my level of recognition of it. Am I perceiving life as divine? Am I seeing it as part of this unified field? And therefore that everything, no matter what the appearances are, everything is unfolding in divine perfection. Now, or am I seeing life like, oh, another thing, 2020, WTF, right? There was a great meme going around right in the first quarter, which was like 2020 brought to you by the letters W, T, and F. Like, what's going on, right? Am I responding to life like that? Oh my God! Or am I responding to life like, okay, there's some real things going on, and I know no matter what the appearance is, there's only one thing going on. And that's the eternal presence. And it's whole and complete and perfect. So everything is unfolding in that divine perfection, no matter what my opinion of it is. So if everything is unfolding in divine order, no matter what the appearances are, we can now let life fill that broader experience. Just like when someone holds you big, you expand into it. When we can hold life with more possibilities can express. But if I see only one possibility, 2020, it's down the tubes and it sucks. Well, that's the way it is. Now, so how big we hold life, it expands. How small we hold life, it's just like the same principle as we perceive people. It's great to say practically, I can see God in everyone, right? That's what I was saying earlier. It's really hard because you're going to get triggered. I'm going to get triggered. I can live from my meditation cushion or from my week at Rythmia. I can live from the awareness that everyone's divine. And then the minute I see that one colleague or the one brother or the one cousin or the one whoever it is, right? The minute I see them, then it's really hard. It's really hard to say I see God everywhere. This is where the rubber meets the road, principle and practice. So this is one of the key pieces. The principle here is that the uppermost God and the innermost God are the same. Ancient truths, as above, so below. Everything responds to me at the level of my recognition of it. Now, the practical aspect of this is what really became interesting to me. Let's talk religion and politics, right? How do I take this principle that life responds to me at my level of recognition of it, and that if I hold life big, possibilities are going to emerge. That's great. But the election's coming up, and I know if one person gets elected, all this is going to happen. And if another person gets elected, all this other stuff is going to happen. I know that. So this is really important. Everybody says don't talk about religion and politics. And I disagree. We have to talk about religion and politics. Democracy is predicated on you and I having real, authentic, truthful conversations with each other. We have to communicate. That is a key foundation because we don't want to talk about these things because they're incendiary, they're challenging, and people get triggered. Why do people get triggered? Because we hold it personally, and they're big issues that have real life consequences. So we don't want to be all airy-fairy and just live in this principle. How do we take that principle and apply it to stuff that we deal with every day in life? Here's the thing that we all must learn, something that we've lost, which is civil discourse. We need to learn how to be in disagreement with another person and still see them as okay. And that's not happening. It's hard. It's hard for me, and it's hard for all of us. And it's an art that has been lost in American culture. One of the founding fathers said, I disagree with you 100%, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it. Right? That is that's America. That's the United States. Right? This real earnest inquiry and willingness to come together and figure out a middle way despite our differences. So why do discussions about religion and politics become so contentious? Because we've lost the art of discourse, of civil discourse, and to be okay with people that disagree with us. And why is that important? Because there's a fundamental thing that happens when I'm having a conversation with my sister, who is a wonderful, loving person and very devoted, but she's an evangelical. She has a different set of beliefs than I do. I kind of hang out in the metaphysical world, right? So when we're talking, we're being all loving, it's like, oh yes, she's very godly and I'm very spiritual. But underneath that is, I wish you would just see it the way I see it. And that's fundamentally what's underneath every political conversation, every religious conversation, every contentious conversation, every disagreement, that really, I'm not really listening to what you're saying. I'm trying to convince you of what I'm saying, right? So that is, whether it's unconscious or conscious, whether it's overt or covert, political conversations become contentious when we're trying to convince someone of our perspective, of our point of view, of our beliefs. Underneath is that I want you to think the same as I do. Or I can have a conversation that's different, right? So there's what's happening, right? That I'm coming from this perspective that I have to convince somebody or persuade them because this is really important. Why it is important that we vote for this bill or we don't vote for that, or we give aid here or we don't give aid there. These are really big pieces. So rather than coming with my already conceived notions on what the best practice is, we have to have conversations with each other. We have to be interested in the other person's perspective, no matter how reprehensible they are, even if they are, especially if they are reprehensible. We have to be interested in their beliefs and share our own, right? That's a conversation. Oh, it's very interesting that you believe that this is happening for the best. I see it in the exact opposite way. How interesting. Now let me get curious about why they're seeing it or why I'm not seeing it like they are. Instead of, because here's the normal response that I noticed myself having. Something would happen in the political realm and it would be so offensive to my political sensibilities. The response is, and I've seen people on both sides do this, like, well, I don't even know where to begin with that. That's just ridiculous. Like that's not even based in reality. There's no facts. I can't believe people think like that. And that's it. There's a wall. You're not listening to anybody on the other side. So I want to be interested in what the other is saying and then share my own beliefs instead of trying to convince them. And somewhere in that old time conversation of civil discourse, there becomes an opening for politics or political or religious conversation not to be contentious. I mean, my sister isn't going to convince me to be an evangelical, and I'm not going to convince her to be a metaphysician or to be spiritual. That's not going to happen. Where we can move into a place of loving discourse is by stopping to try and convince or cajole or persuade someone. The first step in applying this principle is seeing the divine in everyone and recognizing, as we did in the evocation, that there's only one thing happening no matter what it appears to be. And I'm going to give you some specific real-life examples. If I take things personally, I can't see the divine in another person. If I think that Donald Trump is doing certain things that are absolutely intended to have an effect on certain people, then I'm offended by that and I take it personally because I'm probably one of those people. But others don't see that. So if I'm taking what's happening personally, then I can't see the divine. But if I can remove the personal from it, then I can see that where we are, there are more, not only that where we are, there's more possibility, but that the people that I'm speaking to are more than my opinions and judgments of them. They're more than the words that they've said. They're more than their inequities or inequalities. And that is the key to contention, that we've really moved into a level of keeping it personal. So now, if I'm seeing, no matter what my political beliefs of a Republican or a Democrat are, if I'm seeing each person as an individual expression of a unified whole, now life can expand into that awareness, just like you expand into that person that loves you and thinks you're amazing. So how am I perceiving life? This is key to our understanding, or to our ability to allow life to lead us instead of constricting the energetic flow of the divine in our opinions and judgments. Now life can expand and life responds to us at our level of recognition of it. Is it going to hell in a handbasket, or is there a fundamental order and balance that's unfolding no matter what appears to be at this current moment? Okay, there's religion and politics. And really this has everything to do with our personal relationships. It has everything to do with our work relationships. My brother Danny, or my brother Donnie, I have a brother Danny as well, but this one has to do with my brother Donnie, or your husband or wife, or your cousin, or your colleague. We have a sense that people are fixed. They're just that way. That's just the way my brother is. That person at work, No matter what, they come in, they do X, Y, and Z. Every day they leave the coffee cup right there, even though there's a sign in the room that says, take your personal items to the kitchen, right? They do that, and we all have a way of seeing people that limits their ability to be more than our opinion of them. They're just that way. My husband never completes anything. He always does 90% and never finishes the 10%. He'll take a box out to almost to the garage. Doesn't quite get there. It's been this way for 30 years. It's been this way for 40 years. We know that's just the way they are. So here's another really key part, that people will rise or sink to our level of expectations that we have for them. If I expect that Jane is going to walk into the office and do that every day, then there's a higher probability that she will. If I allow a possibility in my understanding and interpretation of Jane to be bigger than her leaving the coffee cup on where it shouldn't go, then she can expand into that. She can rise to my level of expectation of her. This is a very potent understanding. Another way of saying it is life responds to us at our level of recognition. In the political sphere, if we remove our opinions about people and see them as big as they are, then that they are infinite and divine, then they're not our opinions. And the truth of who you are, the truth of who we all are, is bigger than opinion and judgment. In fact, no matter if they are Republican or Democrat, they're part of a unified whole. And then from that perspective, that they're more than their inequities, right? Then the realm of infinite possibilities can unfold. Now, go back to the evocation. If there's one source and it's everywhere present, then all possibility exists right where you are. You're not locked into anything. Infinite possibility. It's all right there. It's just waiting to come through. But we can't see it and we can't hear it because we have a set of opinions and beliefs about this current situation, right? It's like the principle of, or not the principle, it's like electricity. Electricity, we didn't invent electricity. It's always been here. We figured out a way to channel it. So the infinite possibilities have always been right here, right in front of our noses. We need to figure out a way to channel it. And this understanding of life responding to us at our level of recognition of it helps us to see infinite possibilities, because we're not seeing our opinions, we're seeing a greater truth behind it. So in this realm, infinite possibilities can unfold and present themselves to us. The answers come to us when we allow them. Now, there's another part that I want to express. The second part of this is an old principle from the Bible, that we must be in the world and not of it. So if we take things personally because we're committed, why do we take things personally? Because these are really important issues, whether it's water quality or child labor or slavery that's still going on, whatever it is, our political system, the way that we care for or don't care for our population and other countries, the way that we take care of the sick and the poor, all of those things are really important to each of us because it represents who we are. So we all have strong beliefs on our fiscal policy, strong beliefs. I have beliefs in LGBTQ. I have a belief that I want a kind and just global society. I believe in human rights, right? These are, if you talk to me about those things, I'm going to have a strong opinion about it. But if I remove the personal from it, if I don't take it personally, then I can be in the world but not of it. I can be responding I can have a response to what's happening in the world. I'm not denying the appearances. I'm not saying that they're not existing. What I am saying is that our understanding of what's happening lies at our level of recognition of it. If this is true, then I have to be in the world to be a part of what's unfolding. And if someone has a different opinion than I do, then we have a conversation and we get curious. And try, we need to, that another wonderful biblical statement, try not to be understood, but to understand. So that's the piece with politics and religion and our personal relationships, our personal communications. And now I want to give you a couple other examples of personal situations with the way that we have create situations for people in our lives. And I'll be really quick about it. My brother, Donnie, has been working really hard on his weight lately, but for many years, he had not really put any effort into that. And it had become a problem, and he has 2 children, young children. And this could be a problem for his health. So all the brothers and sisters were getting around trying to get into this program and try this diet and go see that doctor. And we all had suggestions. We all had something that he should do. And he never got off to do any of those things. And we were very concerned, but we had tried so hard and for so long, we just gave up. We just gave up. When we finally gave up, one day, I don't know how many months later, we just stopped talking about it. One day we got a group text from Donnie saying, "Hey everybody, I just finished my first month at boot camp. I've lost this much weight, and I'm changed my diet in this way." And it happened when none of us were nagging him about it. We all felt strongly about it, but everything responds to us at the level of our recognition of it. We were perceiving Donnie as irresponsible and overweight, and that's how he was. And once we just saw him as love, there was a possibility for him to start moving his body and start changing his diet. And he's making a difference. Life responds to us at our level of recognition of it. Okay, back to the beginning. We'll say very quickly to sum up, how are we perceiving life? Am I perceiving life as bad? Or am I perceiving that everything happens for me? And am I perceiving that it's negative or positive? Now is the perfect time. Even though it doesn't appear to be, now is the perfect time. No matter what's unfolding, now is the perfect time, because there's only now, and all of it is divine, and the divine is perfect. So if it's all one, and there's only the eternal present, then it's all happening now, and it's all perfect. No matter what my opinion or judgment of it is, which we might call perception, which brings us to the very end and the very beginning, that life responds to us at our level of recognition of it. So the question is, how are you perceiving life today? And I thank you. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. And I am knowing that we are all walking in the sunshine of life on the path of continuous unfoldment. Peace and richest blessings. Thank you.